I don't know what to say except holy shit on this Ohio State Penn State game in the first half. 14-10 is your score. Ohio State up over Penn State. But if you're watching this game, you already know wild series of events here late in the second quarter. First of all, to recap, Penn State kicks a field goal to take a 3-0 lead. Ohio State gets the ball. Will Howard throws a pick six. Penn State's up 10-0. The place is going nuts. Ohio State's in trouble. They get the ball. They go right down the field and score. Makes it 10-7. They go down and score again. They're up now 14-10 over Penn State. And it looked like Ohio State was about to go up 21-14. And they fumbled on the 1 yard line, Ohio State did. Will Howard, about to score, fumbled on the 1 yard line. Ball goes into the end zone and then out of the end zone for a touchback. Disaster averted for Penn State. Penn State then goes all the way down. They hit a bomb down inside the 5 yard line with like 10 seconds to go until halftime. They line up. They throw a corner route into the end zone. And an Ohio State DB made one of the wildest fucking interceptions you'll ever see. They reviewed it, and he had a foot down. It was the right call, interception. So each team basically gave up a touchdown there late in the second quarter, and your halftime score, 14-10. Ohio State up over Penn State on the road in Happy Valley. And this is a huge game, obviously, for both teams, perception standpoints. If Ryan Day loses this game, he's in hot water. He's in serious trouble. They still got Indiana coming up, plus Michigan. And if Ohio State loses today and then loses another one, forget national title. They won't make the playoffs. So they gotta hang on and win here. Penn State's not out of it with a loss. It would be their first loss, but the perception of James Franklin and Penn State losing another game would be almost insurmountable for Penn State and James Franklin. So a huge second half coming up. It should be a great second half. We're live streaming. If you want to come hang out on the channel and watch the second half of that game with us. Great games on across the board at noon. Vandy and Auburn. Vandy's up 7-0, but it looked like the Barn just scored here to tie it up, so it's going to be 7-7. Vandy and Auburn. We were watching the Arkansas Ole Miss game, but boy, Ole Miss got up big on them. Last I saw on that one, it was 28-10, and then we switched it over to Auburn and Vandy. And yeah, Auburn did score, about to kick the extra point. It's good. All tied up 7 apiece. 6:45 to go in the second quarter of that one. How about Duke beating Miami? Now, this isn't that surprising, I guess. Miami just finds a way to let these teams hang around. Even last week against a terrible Florida State team, in the first half, it was a competitive game. Now, Miami pulled away from Florida State in the second half and ended up covering and winning with ease. But Duke, man, they are giving Miami all they want right now. And Duke scored late in the second quarter to take the lead back. That's been a back-and-forth game there between Duke and Miami. Of course, there's like 9 people at that game at Hard Rock. Nobody gives a fuck about Miami home games. Duke's up 21-17. Oh, back to the Ohio State game real quick. If you're not watching the game, let me just trivia here. You know, Penn State's got that Nick Singleton. They got a couple of really good running backs. And they have that Ham Hawk, that number 44 that plays tight end and a couple other positions that runs the ball some too. Who's the leading rusher at halftime for Penn State? Dew Aller. Dew Aller is the leading rusher for Penn State at halftime. He's got 42 yards. Nick Singleton, milk carton alert, like 5 carries, 11 yards or something like that for Nick Singleton. If you'd have told me Nick Singleton only had 11 yards in the first half of this Penn State-Ohio State game, I'd have said, well, Ohio State must be blowing them out. Ohio State's winning, but they're not blowing them out. But they're going to have to get something going on the ground from Nick Singleton. You can't survive as Penn State with a hobbled Dew Aller as your leading rusher. Shout out to Dew Aller. He's playing. Got hurt last week. He's playing, and he's played well at times. But holy shit, you're Penn State. How the hell is Dew Aller your leading rusher? Do better. Miami losing to Duke at halftime, like we mentioned. Yeah, 35-10 the halftime score now. Ole Miss and Arkansas. Woo pig dummy. Sam Pittman might be hunting for a job here at the end of the year. I don't know. Army's only up 6-3 over Air Force. Poverty. Air Force is a 1-win team. Army doesn't have their starting quarterback, but come on, man. Army's 7-0. Air Force 1-6. And it's 6-3 in the third quarter. No touchdowns in this game. 2 field goals for Army, 1 for Air Force. So I don't know what's going on there. Minnesota's up by 3 over Illinois, 13-10 at halftime. Minnesota's actually favored in that game, which was weird. But they're up 3 on the road at Illinois, 13-10. Oklahoma started off shaky, didn't it, for the Sooner? Looked like they was going to tip that fucking wagon over again, those wooden-wheeled motherfuckers. They were down 7-0 to whatever, Maine. Oklahoma's playing something called Maine. I think that's a state, actually. But they're up 35-7 now at halftime. Purdue's losing to Northwestern 17-10. Haven't watched any of that one. NC State up big over Stanford 31-14. Virginia Tech up 14-3 over Syracuse. That's a little surprising. Home game for Syracuse. Virginia Tech was favored by 2 or 3 points, but man, Syracuse just falling apart the last couple of weeks. Got blown out by Pitt last week. Fucking Honda McCord threw like 9 interceptions and 3 pick sixes in the first quarter or whatever it was, and now they're losing at home to Virginia Tech. So just hang it up for the fruit, I guess. Turns out not any good. Vanderbilt and Auburn all tied at 7, as previously mentioned. Great games. I've told y'all, Miami's the most watchable team on the planet. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to love them. You can feel indifferent about it. If you like college football and you're not watching the Miami games every week, I don't know what's wrong with you. Every single game they play is like this. So, Miami's undefeated. They're ranked in the top 10. They're probably going to come back and win this game in the second half because this is what they do every week. They let these terrible teams hang around. It's must-see TV. Must-see TV! And the reason it's must-see TV is because no one is seeing it in person. Because once again, oh my God, the lower half of the stadium's not even full. Miami can't give tickets away. I don't know. Anyway, come hang out with us. We're live on the channel right now with all these noon games. Come hang out. We'll watch the second half of Ohio State, Penn State, Miami, Duke, everything else going on at noon. And for the 3:30 games, we'll be over on Patreon. So you got Georgia, Florida, Michigan, Oregon, bunch of good games coming on at 3:30. We'll be live streaming on the Patreon page. Link to the Patreon is in the description of this video. Check it out. Come hang out with us on a Saturday and watch some college football. Have a good morning.